March 31st marks the premiere of 40 for 40, our epic celebration of the 40th anniversary of the Transformers the movie. 40 weeks, 40 moments, 40 episodes, possibly 40 minutes each, but no promises. We're marking the occasion by looking back at some great episodes featuring my favorite conversations I've had about this movie and why it's so fundamental to me. Today, we're going back to April of 2018 and the Autopod Decepticast. In this episode, you'll meet Aaron, Ryan, and Caleb, lifelong friends who decided to start a podcast, but not just your average white guys talking in a basement podcast. No, these guys decided to talk about the Transformers the movie 1 minute at a time. It's still one of the most ambitious podcasting projects I've heard of, and discovering their show radically altered the trajectory of the type of content I would create from that point onward all the way through today. This is The Road to 40, and you're listening to Mike Seibert Radio. Enjoy. Mike Seibert Radio is an independent podcast. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and the guests only, and do not necessarily reflect those of any broadcasters that any of us either have been, am now, or will be affiliated with. Enjoy the show! Welcome to episode 150 of Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host. If you'd like to get a hold of me, I am at Mike Seibert Radio. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure and write into that mailbag, MikeSeibertRadio@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you. This is the podcast radio show where I talk about stuff and things that are on my mind every week. And on this landmark episode, it's my interview with the guys from the Autopod Decepticast. They will be joining us shortly to talk about their podcast, which is a minute-by-minute breakdown of 1986's Transformers the movie, which, in case you can't tell by now, happens to be my favorite movie, so we're going to talk about that. Plus, I've got music from two incredible bands, both inspired by the Transformers, Close Countach and the Cybertronic Spree. All of that and more on this all-new episode of Mike Seibert Radio. So we're kicking things off, of course, with that iconic theme song as performed by Stan Bush and Vince DiCola off of the 20th anniversary edition of the Transformers the movie soundtrack. And up next, I've got a brand new jam inspired by Ready Player One in theaters now. It'll be Close Countach with a tune called Game Over. And after that, the Autopod Decepticast. You are listening to Mike Seibert Radio.
Calamity, the Oasis is the only reality. Come on, step up if you want to try it. Don't want to mess with this iron giant. I've been racing, you've been snoring in. You'll never beat the DeLorean. Modern day warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean drive. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset play mine. 'Cause mine makes me a hero. My eyes are heavy, the clock just chimes. It's like I've spent the whole night saving someone else's life. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. So many promises I couldn't keep. So many nights that I couldn't find sleep. Too many demons invaded my heart. Too many lies that have ripped me apart. So many promises I couldn't keep. So many nights that I couldn't find sleep. Too many demons invaded my heart. Too many lies that ripped me apart. Even the score, I don't want this no more. Deliver me my final blow. Invincible fast and escaping my past. If it's not real, I don't wanna know. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. You play your game and I'll play mine. You made my life a dungeon. My arms are heavy, the clock just chimes. But I still feel like I have to slay this dragon. Even the score, I don't want this no more. Deliver me my final blow. Invincible fast and escaping my past. If it's not real, I don't wanna know. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life again. Game over and no one wins. Forced to reset my life
Game Over, the brand new song from Close Kuntosh. That is available now on their SoundCloud page. I'll have a link in the show notes. And yes, they are cars with guitars, led by the Generation 1 version of the Lamborghini Brothers, Sideswipe and Sunstreaker. Their band also includes Blue Streak, Bumblebee, and Trax. Yes, these are Transformers, and they are action figures, and they are awesome. But their music videos are a whole lot of fun. In fact, that's actually what makes Close Kuntosh so awesome, is that visual. You know, they do a lot of stop motion animation with in the videos with the figures, and they're pretty great. And actually, I was turned on to Close Kuntosh. I hadn't heard of them before. I heard of them by listening to the podcast we're going to talk about with my special guests next.
Cliff Jumper, commence countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.
Well, I tell you, I have been looking forward to this conversation for a while now. In fact, you might say,
I would have waited an eternity for this.
Please welcome to the show, the Autopod Decepticast.
Yeah.
Nice.
See, it's pro treatment, man. How you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
That was great. Yeah, I love how you always have something queued up to like drop in like that. That is something we will never have.
See, I had to leave that in there.
We got Ryan right off the bat there. How's it going, Mike?
I'm doing well. So, man, so thanks for taking the time to hang out. And, man, before we get into what the Autopod Decepticast actually is, why don't we go around the room real quick, introduce yourselves, and talk about what you do on the show.
Sure. Well, this is Aaron speaking. I guess I'm the de facto host of the show.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. Aaron is basically like our tent poles of like he has the structure and kind of leads us base to base, whereas I'm somewhere in the middle, kind of like a chaotic neutral, where I basically am here to make dick jokes and make everyone else uncomfortable. And I actually do know something. I take notes as well, but definitely not as stringently planned.
Yeah, and I'm. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Caleb, you may speak. It's your turn. It's your turn, buddy.
That is what we also do. I just cut that out of the episode. Yeah. We tell Caleb when he's allowed to talk.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. My name's Caleb, and I'm just happy to be here. I think I saw the movie once.
So we refer to Caleb often. I know he's seen it more than once, but we refer to him as our everyman. If Ryan and I are the seasoned Transformers veterans, Caleb has got surface level knowledge and literally has almost every minute we watch a new childlike moment of discovery with the episode.
Yeah, I'm intentionally not watching ahead, and so every minute I see I haven't seen in a few years, and I'm just constantly shocked and awed. It's great.
So we like that about it, but we also have the benefit of making fun of him for not having any knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, he's like a fresh-faced little boy wandering into, oh, hello, Father Flanagan. I'm sure this will go well.
Father Flanagan.
Yeah.
Wow, it took less than 5 minutes, and we've already flipped the cart over into Uncomfortable Town. Thanks, Jet. Appreciate you, man. Yep. All right, so there's going to be a lot of on mic laughing, so I guess I'm just going to apologize for that up front. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, because this is going to be a lot of fun. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, talking about the movie that you guys review for your podcast. I think at this point, Aaron, why don't you kind of explain a little bit about what the Autopod Decepticast is and what the hell you guys actually do on the internet?
Yeah, sure. It's a simple concept that is difficult to describe actually in words. But there is a trend out there in podcasts of minute-by-minute podcasts in which a group of people or maybe one person just spend a little bit of time dissecting 1 minute of a movie or TV show out there. And we do it with Transformers the movie because I think it's just for us, at least for Ryan and I, it's a little pop cultural thing that I feel like not a day goes by where we don't reference it in some way, and whether in personal banter or just whatever. It's we loved Transformers as a kid, and additionally, I think we were all looking for an excuse to get together more often. We're 3 friends dating back to elementary school, and it's just a topic that brought us back together brings us back together on a weekly basis. Anyway,
I do often like to say that we have been friends so long it's not clear whether we still like each other or it's just like laziness.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? Maintaining friendships can be a challenge sometimes. I've talked about that on various episodes of my show where, it's like I don't necessarily have those connections that you guys have. And in truth, I'm actually kind of jealous because I couldn't name somebody I went to elementary school that I went with a gun pointed at my head. I'd just be splattered against the wall because I moved around a lot as a kid, so I think that's part of it. But still, I just never really had those lasting friendships. So I've again always I'm always a little jealous of what you guys got because it not to get all Dr. Phil super early in the show, but it really is something kind of special. So try to hang on to that shit. It's really, really cool.
Well, it makes it easy from a rapport standpoint, I guess. Like getting 3 strangers that are passionate about the show would be a little awkward at first, but we had the benefit of being able to break down that barrier just from the amount of years we've known each other. But on the flip side, you should see our really aggressive group text.
Oh, man. That's also, the good part of it is that we can say horrible things to each other and it'll be fine later. But the horrible things are still there.
I have no idea what these guys are talking about.
Right. So up top, I'd like to congratulate you on making it 1 year worth of podcasting. You know, episode 55 is out now. Did you guys ever think you'd make it this far?
I didn't. I never had a doubt that we would make it this far.
All right.
It was harder. I was more nervous when that first day where we did our first 3 episodes. We went right into it with episode 0 or episode 1, and we got done with that. And we were like, "Holy shit, that felt really good."
Yeah.
And from then on out, we knew that if we wanted to get it done, we could get it done.
Yeah, this is Aaron speaking. I definitely felt a buzz whenever we recorded our first episodes. Like, it was almost
well,
a high.
we were on ecstasy.
Well,
There was that.
There was, but I mean, it was a different kind of buzz.
Yeah, it was from the jump. I never had a doubt that we could go the distance from it. But you know what? Boy, don't go back and listen to those first 15 episodes, because they are.
No way. I would disagree with that.
They're fine. It's just episodes. We have such a streamlined process now.
Yeah.
That when I went back to do the clip show. Oh boy, which will never happen again. I went back to edit the clip show, and so I listened to every episode that we'd done up to that point, and we're kind of really all over the place with the first at least 10.
We gotta get
our pod legs.
Getting our pod legs. Exactly.
I like that. I've never heard that term used, but I love that. I'm gonna try to pass that along to folks and kind of co-opt that, because I mean that was one of the things I wanted to talk about was the development of the show. Going from a baby podcast to maybe a toddler podcast, and as a fan, I've heard the development and the growth in the show, and something, Ryan, you said that where it's like you've got it figured out now. I mean, at least Aaron kind of knows mostly the cadence of the intro and kind of the flow
I like
of
the
how
qualifier mostly.
Well, it's funny, just for doing my research, I did revisit the clip show as well as episode 0. It's funny, I listened to episode 0, then I listened to the clip show, and I'm like, well, why did I waste my time with that 18 minutes? God damn it. But it's funny, though, one of the things that cracked me up is, kind of trying to get the specific wording to nail the intro. And, even as somebody that's at least somewhat of a veteran, which incidentally, I've only been broadcasting for 3 years. So, I mean, I'm not really standing on any kind of high horse, but
that is a decade in internet time.
Yeah.
That's fair. But, it's I blow my intro, at least once per recording, and I'll be like, oh, fuck, son of a bitch. And then I have to stop it and redo it. And, the more you try to push it, the more you mess it up and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, and it takes some workshopping, you know what I mean? To just kind of, make sure you've got the phrasing right. It's like, oh, this felt good. This is too janky. This is too wordy. Things like that. But I've really enjoyed listening to, especially since when I came in, because I discovered your guys' show back in, I want to say October. And it was I still don't know what this website actually is, but something called Pod Knife added my show to it. And it's,
oh, yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, this is rad. I retweeted that and all of that other stuff. And then I started following them on Twitter. And then sometime afterward, I saw a tweet that said, hey, the Autopod Decepticast is now on Twitter. And it has a bio, and it talks about a minute-by-minute breakdown of Transformers the movie. And I'm like, what? Hey. But no, that's what it was. It's I've been a lifelong fan of Transformers the movie. It's definitely my jam. Anybody that has any degree of familiarity with what I've done in broadcasting and on the podcast here, but that was kind of my hook. And I'm like, Transformers the movie, cool. And then what I found was that I really liked it. It's the dumbest thing, but what you guys hooked me with was in episode 1 when you started talking about the Lithonians as space wizards and mixing
that would be Caleb's contribution as our fresh-faced every boy.
and you know, I've had so many instances of listening to the show. You know, basically I binged it from, you know, episode 0 all the way through. I want to say I caught up and got current around maybe like, you know, 42, 43-ish, relatively recently actually. But the thing that I keep finding over and over is I have these moments where it's like, well, in 31 years of watching this movie, I never thought about it from that angle. You know, it's like, you know, like a Cup's junk storage that he's got going.
Oh my God.
Or the space, you know, again, like the mixing potions and things like that. And I'm like, you know, I think I'm going to stick with this. And I really hope that these 3 guys can keep it together and finish this off, because it's actually something that's kind of cool and I enjoy. Like, for example, once upon a time, there was a minute podcast where somebody was doing Transformers the movie, and it what we refer to as a pod fade. It just one day just disappeared.
Yeah,
and that dude even got like an interview with Stan Bush at one point. And I'm like,
what?
Holy shit.
Now I'm upset.
We were just saying on our most recent episode, we talked about how we can never interview anyone because we have said horrible things about all these people that created it, whom we do love, but we'll sometimes be a little rough on.
You know,
or just mock them unnecessarily.
Yes.
You know, I get the feeling that Flint Dille would talk to anybody because, you know, as long as he gets to like sprawl out on a lawn chair in his backyard by a pool, he could give a fuck. I mean,
nice.
I don't.
Funny whenever I see to your point, I've seen a few interviews with him, and I feel like if they're video enabled, he's always either like in a beanbag or he's definitely lounging to some degree when he does these things.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bonkers. So yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of connecting with you guys as a fan. You know, I'm a fan of the movie. You know, and I've become a real fan of your guys' take on it. And so yeah, I mean, I totally dig what you guys have been doing with it. With the show.
I really appreciate that. That's really nice. This Ryan speaking. I was just going to say that to that point, yeah, I have, and I think all of us, especially Caleb, but all of us have found something new in almost every minute that we watch that we've never. And between Aaron and I, we've probably seen this movie over 100 times, and there's always something like doing this deep analysis and research and breaking it down and looking for content to talk about. It's every minute I do find something where I never saw that or thought about that before. Yeah, it's really seeing it through an adult prism of but also something you love is interesting.
Yeah, it really is, and I also appreciate the just the deep dive stuff that you give, because I mean I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a be all end all expert on this movie, but I have been watching it for 31 years. I consider it to actually be my favorite movie, not the best movie per se, but
sure.
It's if I was on a desert island, I would take Transformers the movie with me because. And we could, maybe get into this sometime later, but, I mean, it's got a lot of connection and nostalgia for me. And it's something that, is actually, kind of become special and something as I've become an adult, something I've, also had fun with. But my point being is in some of those deep dives and the research that you guys have done, I didn't know that the Decepticon ship had a name. I didn't know it was called the Revenge. I was like, really? That's
or even that there's a detailed breakdown of names and classes for Autobot ships as well. I mean, I think the minute by minute format is what lends itself really to that kind of. You're forced to do it, right? Because you have to do. You have to do content, and I think starting with a movie that you're pretty familiar with is a good jump off because you love it, you've got passion for it, you've got that nostalgia baked in, but then you don't have to you've already got some preconceived notions, so you give yourself the opportunity to challenge those and find those little nooks and crannies of which there are So many, and probably every movie, but in this movie in particular, just because it's animated and like the kind of work that goes into it and the process and everything.
This movie makes it fun to do that. This movie makes it real fun to do expository research because it's connected to so many other things in pop culture in the 80s and leading up to that point.
Even just the voice actors. That's fascinating.
The toy industry of the time. The other things that were going on in that decade.
Right.
Yeah, it really is kind of like this weird pop culture touchstone. And I think that's a lot of the reason why it's still viable and so beloved to this day. I mean, Shout Factory just put out a magnificent 30th anniversary Blu-ray, and you don't get that on a movie that nobody gives a shit about.
Right.
So,
I mean, I guess you could say it's a cult movie. It's like the weirdest kind of cult movie, though. I mean, it was, meant to appeal to children of its time, but and really nobody else. And it was critically panned in its time. But it's really, as far as the Transformer fandom goes, and no matter what age you are, you kind of, even if you came into it, as a 15-year-old last week, you get that like this is the movie and that the other movies are sort of garbage.
I'm sure there are people that like those movies. I'm not those people. Right. But it is an interesting, I think it's sort of weird of this nostalgic stuff we had as kids has never really gone away. Like Ninja Turtles, Transformers, G.I. Joe, it's sort of keeps continuing. And it's weird to think that at the time, these were just guys who were trying to sell toys and make an animated series that would be popular, as exemplified by the fact, we can kill off the leader of the Autobots. It's fine.
That's revolutionary, that whole concept.
I mean, it's disposable in that, you think of it from marketing terms. Every product has a life cycle, and they had to assume it was going to die at some point. But it seems like every time it gets close to total death, they figured out a way to give it a lifeline. The Transform, and I guess I'm speaking of the franchise itself, but thereby also interest in this movie.
Definitely, and a few different places I want to go from there, because we, kind of threw a handful of things out there. I kind of want to talk about, your, kind of your experience with the franchise in general. I also kind of want to talk about what maybe the reaction from kind of the Transformers community has been to the show. But I think one of the places I want to go first, and it's just a weird self-indulgent neck deep in the weeds type of question, but which version of the movie are you watching for the podcast?
I don't know, actually.
Okay.
The version that I own a couple of versions. I think I own the 20th and the 30th anniversary that you just mentioned.
The reason why I ask is because I have a few different versions of the movie myself, but I have an old beat up VHS copy, like the old FHE red box from back in the day. I have the original DVD from 2002. It's actually the first DVD I ever bought. I bought my DVD player, then I went to Suncoast Video in the mall and bought a copy of Transformers the movie and a copy of Clerks. So that's how I started in DVD.
And then I did not get any more DVDs.
Well, because you know what, I'd take Clerks to a desert island with me also. So I guess I already had everything I needed up until that point. But yeah.
Well, and hopefully that you got the Clerks special edition that had a big inflatable boat in it with several oars when you take it to that desert island.
I like
that. Was a terrible joke. Statistically, there's going to be one bad one. And now we've gotten it out of the way.
So you mentioned that VHS. That brings us back to, just the nostalgia and memories of this movie. And I think the first time I ever saw this movie, which was, probably 1987-ish.
Okay, probably.
I didn't actually see it in the theater. I wasn't one of those that was lucky enough to do it. And Ryan's mother worked in a video store, and so he was able to essentially get his hands on it at any time and would have it on hand for weeks at a time. So the first time I saw the movie was at your house, and I just remember we watched it from the perspective of having already seen some of the third season of the show.
okay.
So we already knew that Optimus Prime wasn't around anymore. That's kind of weird. Megatron's not around, but this other guy that sort of sounds like him and has an arm cannon is around.
So when you guys saw season 3, you didn't know what had happened to Prime?
Yeah, that's right. We didn't know the movie story or anything, but we had a good sense that Optimus Prime died because I think they refer to it several times. But then we saw the movie late, but I just remember watching that movie in your mother's living room and just almost wanting to cry at certain points not even cry, like I was disgusted. It was so like graphic.
Mike, did you see this movie in the theater?
You know what? I did. And in fact, we when we get together a little later, when I join you on my show, maybe I can get a little deeper into my going experience. But and I've talked about this on various episodes of my show in the past. But yeah, I saw it in the theater. I don't know if I saw it opening day, but I know I saw it during its theatrical run more than once. So,
wow.
and it's, and again, like I said, a lot of my connection to this movie has to do with nostalgia, but a lot of it comes from that that original theater going experience. So yeah, I would watch, season 2 episodes and then went to the theater, saw the movie. And then I remember being really kind of disjointed because like season 2 was still running, in reruns and stuff after the movie. So I was like, oh, and kids are dumb. So, it's just like, so Optimus is okay now. That's cool. And then of course you get to season 3 and I'm like, oh, caught up. Okay. I guess this all makes sense. And when you're a kid, time moves differently. So it feels like, like a year had passed since like, say, August of 1986 to September of 1986. Yeah. When season 3 started. So, it's like, it was, kind of like a big deal. It's like, oh, I see what's going on here.
Yeah, it is crazy to like think whenever I'm doing research for this show or just like go down rabbit holes on Wikipedia, I'm like, oh, this show was on for 3 seasons. I mean, it was on in syndication, but I'm also like, that was only a couple of years, and it seems like such a huge gap in my life, a piece of my life. But yeah, it's like because you're 10, so a year
was a huge
10% of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and season 2 had something like 56 episodes or something like that. They were cranking them out. But it reminds me of something that I wanted to mention. We talked about being young and age and all of that other stuff. One of the things that I especially enjoy about your guys' show, and this is kind of weird, but you guys are my age. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of the hosts are either older than me or younger than me. So it's like there's episodes where you're talking about Monica versus Brandy versus Aaliyah, and talking about Channel 1 news. And I don't think I've heard anybody talk about Channel 1 news in like 20 years. And I'm just listening to this, I'm like, oh my God, these guys get it. It's just, it's crazy.
I'm glad it has relevance to, obviously we can only live life through the cultural generational lens that we have, but we also have that additional lens of being raised in the Midwest or southern part of the Midwest, even, if you will. And so, I guess I didn't even realize as a kid how far Channel 1, for example, like its tentacles spread out across the country. And so it's
a weird generation that we are, because I guess Generation X technically or whatever, but it's a small actual generation. But it's weird. We have we straddle this line between an analog world and a digital world. Right. I mean, computers kind of is what happened while we were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we weren't old enough to have lived the really fun, coked out era of the 80s,
right?
But we're the perfect age to kind of get down on some Nirvana and wear some flannel and
ripped up jeans.
And it is interesting. It is a small at least the way people categorize demographics.
Yeah, but I'm happy that somebody gets my geriatric references that are like, I even have some weirder older ones that I made a Keystone Cops joke the other day, and I'm like, oh, well, everyone who understands that at firsthand is surely dead.
Yeah, but you're an anomaly.
I am a very strange person who just lives alone.
We talk about Ryan sometimes. This is a joke that's probably stolen from The Simpsons or something, but like he's kind of the Dennis Miller of our group with his obscure intellectual references.
God,
Dennis Miller pre the politically active Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live Dennis Miller. We'll give you that.
Hey, Chachi.
Man, it brought me back for a sec because you were talking about The Simpsons, and everybody, goes back to like all those old references. They're like, with the Disney 20th Century Fox merger thing, and Simpsons did a thing on that like 20 years ago, and it just occurred to me very, very recently that The Simpsons is still on, but I don't think there's been any kind of like significant pop culture references that people go back to and say, oh, The Simpsons called it. It's always like The Simpsons called it ... in 1995.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like it was just like one of those weird things that just landed on my lap recently. I'm like, yeah. I mean, me personally,
from a humor perspective, I mean, The Simpsons I think that informs a lot of our humor, really, like with the just non sequiturs and just random references. I mean,
Family Guy too.
Yeah, they just kind of wrote the book on referring to pop culture in a quick, quippy way that which I get, that's kind of the spine of Gen X humor, really.
Yeah, and like you mentioned this earlier, Mike, the movie Clerks, Kevin Smith's Clerks, that was another movie where I watched and I'm like, oh, you could just reference things, and like he talks about Star Wars, and I'm like, that's really, it was a really early version of like doing that, and now that's just common.
It's the status quo.
Yeah.
So you're welcome, millennials.
I know, right?
Our generation
have fun
influenced yours.
$7 for your coffee. Enjoy that, and not having a car. Why don't you save some money and buy some more beard wax?
Whoa.
And ride away on
Right.
your fixed wheel bicycle.
Right? I mean, I work in downtown Seattle, and not a day goes by that I see somebody booking up and down 4th Avenue on it's not a hoverboard, but it's like it's not a unicycle either, but it's like a single wheel motorized thing. It kind of works like a hoverboard, but it's like, and just like, what are you doing? I'm sure
I was hoping you were going to say like one of those velocipedes where it's a gigantic wheel with a tiny wheel behind it. You have to get on this ladder to get up on top of it.
Yeah, and
or a unicycle.
Well, that's
different. He's talking about the big style, like bicycle with the big wheel and the tiny
sorry to interrupt. What you're saying, Mike, takes me to like, that is the vision of 2005. Daniel had his little hoverboard item in Transformers the movie.
He had a hoverboard 4 years before Marty McFly did. Because
their Simpsons did it thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and I always point to that, and people will be like, "Oh, you're full of shit," and I'm like, "Look, this movie came out in 1986. Back to the Future Part 2 came out in 1989."
Who are you hanging out with? You're getting in beefs of Back to the Future 2 versus Transformers.
Nobody.
Not that Transformers the movie didn't have its own sense of ripping off its forebears. And I mean, Nelson Shin, creator of the lightsaber, definitely uses that sound effect, uses Millennium Falcon sound effects, and really just basically rips off the concept of a lightsaber several times throughout this movie.
Well, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but one, kind of like the elevator pitch that I give to people about this movie that have never seen it, never heard of it, may or may not only know the Bayformers type deal, is I'm like, it's Star Wars with transforming robots told in less than 90 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good definition.
And because I mean, all the references are, like you guys were just saying, I mean, they're unrelenting. And it's, I mean, and it's, classic hero's journey type stuff. I mean, like if you take the story of Star Wars and compare it with Transformers the movie, there are a lot of things that are analogous there that are, basic type of stuff. But the thing that I always tell folks, and I go, well, this is a spoiler for a 31-year-old movie, but imagine if the Rebel Alliance is coming out in their X-wings, they're going to attack the Death Star because it's moving into firing position over Yavin 4. It's going to take them out. They need to blow up the exhaust port and whatever. Now imagine this. Now imagine if the Death Star turns around and flip changes and transforms into a giant robot and just swats the X-wings away and starts shooting lasers out of its eyes and, taking claw marks out of the side of a planet and whatnot. Oh, yeah, and said Death Star planet is voiced by Orson Welles. Yeah. And people are just
and if they had any sense, they would be like, that sounds way more awesome than Star Wars. I should watch this tomorrow.
This is Caleb.
Yeah.
It's hard to pitch our podcast sometimes to people because they're immediately it happened to me today before I came up here. I had a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, and he didn't know I had a podcast, and I told him, I broke it down for him. And when he you can see the look in their eyes, they start to glaze over.
Just glaze over, yeah.
And he's like, so you talk about the Transformers movie a minute at a time per episode? And I'm like, yeah, but
I talk about it the least.
But to your point, we bring in a lot of things from outside the movie as expository. That's great. The Transformers movie is a vehicle for talking about so much more. Our friendship.
A vehicle, is it?
Yes.
God damn it.
Is it in disguise?
Yeah.
That's two bad jokes.
Yep, there we go.
Sorry.
Double shot.
Excellent.
Oh my
I wanted one of these early
soundboard?
Early on in the show. No. I used to want, honestly, I still kind of wanted. I used to wanted to kind of sort of ironically have a lot of those talk radio-esque tropes of like middle America morning radio drive-by DJ things with sound effects and also but also wacky segments and things like that.
Well, but we've had wacky segments come out of it. The cool thing is we've had cool things come out of this show.
It's more organic. You're right.
Organic characters. Yeah.
Goes to the iconic moment, baby.
and their ongoing struggle at TJ Maxx.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, oh my God! I'm doing it now. I talked about this on my show when I gave you guys a shout out when I first heard that. But like every time I think of that bit, the corners of my mouth curl up uncontrollably. I cannot help it. That is just like I think. One of the most vivid examples of something you guys are doing that's completely organic and completely absurd and wacky, has nothing to do with Transformers the movie, but it's freaking hilarious. And I told the story already, but like I drive into work early in the morning, and I just happen to be listening to that at a very early morning, so I may not have been entirely awake yet, but I'm driving and like. I could feel like my eyes tearing and sealing up because I am just chuckling so damn hard about this. It's like, how does a ghost swipe on Tinder? Just just the rampant absurdity. Because I mean, it's like Caleb Unleashed there. He
definitely took the improv to another level. He was channeling some real
firing on all cylinders.
It was amazing. And what's funny is the creation of the Ghost of the Iconic Moment, as so much of the podcast is, in reality, when he did that, he's over in the corner doing that, being funny, while Aaron and I are trying to talk, and I was infuriated.
Yeah, it was one of the few times where I realized that I had really annoyed them a lot. But look what happened to that. Guys, look what happened with it.
So, I think we could to the listener who may not be familiar with our little program, that we probably actually, if an episode is an hour long, we probably spend about a half hour breaking down the minute, and then there's just a another half hour of just random douchebaggery, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, first of all, it's a lot of us catching up because we record about every 2 or 3 weeks. So there'll be some storytelling, there'll be some just general riffing, which is just kind of what we do, and that evolves into sometimes, for better or for worse, characters that have become ongoing elements of the show, and we try to incorporate those every now and again when it makes sense. And I think what it all comes down to is wanting the show to be a little looser, more fun. I mean, comedically based than just this is the minute and that was the minute. And I think, on my part, it's really just me wanting to do a show like Comedy Bang Bang, only I don't have the improvisational skills or comedy chops at all. But at least we get to play grab ass and make something that makes us laugh.
I think the humor comes up because we, quite frankly, Mike, we can't help ourselves when we get together. That just comes out.
Yeah, it's just we're naturally so hilarious. Well, I think you now know.
I think it's funny. So, but no, with that, oh man, so many places I want to go, but I guess one of the things that like I've talked about a few things that appeals to me about your guys' show, but I think what makes it strong is kind of those comedy parts and organic segments that aren't necessarily riffing on the movie. I'm not going to put anybody under the bus, but I don't listen to any other Transformers podcast because it gets so deep in the weeds and so technical, almost to the point of it being clinical, and I have no frame of reference or have any idea what they're talking about. So one of the things I like about your show is that it's still accessible even if you might not have seen the movie, or if you, well, actually, no, you're going to get totally lost if you don't know the movie, but if you at least have like a tangential understanding of it. I mean, you could exactly. So you could be a friggin' Caleb and still be okay because I mean, again,
we got to make that a shirt. You can be a friggin' Caleb.
Be a friggin' Caleb. I love it. With a thumbs up or something like that. But that's what I like about it is that and that kind of gets me into the next couple questions I wanted to ask you about is kind of what your the depth of fandom of Transformers stuff, I guess, maybe outside of the movie, and the flip side of that is what the response has kind of been to your guys' podcast from kind of maybe the community in general.
Okay, this is Aaron. So in terms of the part A of the question, I talk about myself as the most quote unquote connected to contemporary Transformers things, in that I collect toys, generally like what they call the Transformers masterpiece toys, which are toys that are meant to be as similar to the cartoon appearance as possible and have, cool, complicated transformations. Also third-party toys, which you referenced earlier, that as long as they fall into that general aesthetic of what we call G1, referring to, the first 3 seasons of the Transformers. So that is, from that perspective, and with that comes a lot of trying to lurk on message boards or on the Transformers subreddit. And so I kind of keep my finger on the pulse of all Transformers news. Some of it I'm interested in, mostly some of it I'm not. Some of the entertainment-based things, yes. Toy things, definitely. I'm not much of a contributor. It would probably benefit our podcast if I was more of a contributor to those things. But I'm almost scared. I'm kind of, in a way, scared of the fandom. And maybe it's like of any fandom. They are like... they're opinionated. They have I see people get into very knife fight type on message boards, and it's like I don't really want to be a part of that or even interject and expose myself to being a part of that conversation. So I'm very
It's like in a cartoon where there's that cloud of people fighting and it just rolls over you and you get pulled into it.
So while I wanted to while I would love to interact, I'm pretty shy about it. Although we are on the TFW 2005 message board as Autopod Decepticast, but yeah, you're not going to see much other than lurking there from our standpoint. But yeah, so I'm a little nervous to just really interact with them. But at any rate, that's just the fear you have. But you get over it. You gotta, if we put ourselves out here, so we've either got to learn to develop a thick skin or do what I do and not engage.
I am shocked, actually, and it's maybe because our listener base is not enormous by any means, but like that we haven't. If you listen to the first couple episodes, I'm like preemptively like trying to tell people, hey, maybe just be a little gentle and don't come after us with the daggers out. But like second that, yeah, Aaron, it's the same thing with me. Of like I'm leery of any fandom that's really deep because and maybe it's because of my age where I'm like, well, I just don't. I mean, I love this thing, but I don't care enough about it to argue to strangers.
Yeah, yeah.
But so it's very casual in that aspect. But like just doing this podcast, I've gotten so much deeper into. And again, if you listen to the early episodes, like I didn't know anything about Nelson Shin or about his connection to Star Wars or anything like that. So it's basically been researching all that has gotten me way more into Transformers than I even was before.
As intense as this fandom is, we with all the work that we've done, and by the time we're done with this project, we'll still probably only be in like the middle 60% of like experts on Transformers the movie, right? Like you'd think we would be top number one, invite us to every Comic-Con panel or whatever, but there's just people out there that they live it.
We'd love to be on a panel, but we would rock the house.
But aside from that, and like the Transformers community specifically, I think the community that's grown specific to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram that I'll give kudos to Caleb here for being the linchpin and really helping to build that out. And not that we have like a million followers, but there are some passionate people that love to talk to us and are very passionate about the show and entertained by it. And it definitely makes us all happy that it is bringing people joy other than just the three of us. I think we do get an ego charge out of that for
everybody's
sure.
Very nice. And it's nice to see people enjoying it.
So far, I mean, we've gotten nothing but love from audiences, and we haven't. We're not getting flooded with people interacting with us, but the interaction we've got is
and maybe the problem
it grows every day.
It does, and maybe the problem is that we don't get any negative stuff. Because if we've learned anything from Jim Jones, it's that you have to have an enemy. You have to have somebody that goes against you.
Oh, Jesus.
Otherwise, how can you build your cult?
Oh, God.
That's the hat on short notes. I mean, it was better than. It was better than this. So. Now I'm just hitting buttons, and this is why you don't need a soundboard, because then you just lean on it and you just start hitting stupid stuff for the sake of hitting stupid stuff like
that
this.
Would happen.
Well, to that soundboard that Aaron was talking about, we had my 40th anniversary was a roast. We had a party, and he had the iPad out with a soundboard up on it, and he abused it.
And by 40th anniversary, we mean 40th anniversary of your birth.
Did I say anniversary? I meant for my 40th birthday. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, knuckleheads!
I've either had too much or not enough gin.
Nice, cold gin time again, I suppose. All right, so a handful of more things. So like, I forget. Did you guys kind of touch on or go into kind of other connections to Transformers fandom? Like, do you guys do like the comics or the games or really kind of anything current or contemporary with regards to Transformers?
I know that these guys were really big into the American comic series. I remember borrowing them, and so I can't speak to that too much. I owned original G1 characters, and then I kind of leached off, and then I continue to leech off of their fandom. So I'll let them talk about that.
This is Ryan. I did enjoy the original run of the Transformers comic book, and had a bunch of G1 characters, and then like it basically fell off. I mean, I kind of just lost it. I did pick up some of the Generation 2 comics, read some of those. Yeah. It was different. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on, and so it wasn't really my bag. And then like that's what's been nice about this is to get back into it, and like I randomly would sometimes pick up some IDW books, which are amazing. It's like not only for the artwork, but the stories are so much better than anything that was before because they take it seriously. And I feel like it is people like us who loved it as a kid and now are able to express it, or just, people who take their job seriously and care about storytelling. But yeah, so that's been the kind of casual that way. But, mainly mine, has been just getting back into the film and the TV show. I haven't gotten much into the toys except for, I don't have to because Aaron buys all of them, so I can come whenever we record and just play with them.
There's a Transformers library here of characters. So
like
So
Ryan
much
was,
money.
I also the original Marvel comic was very, and that storyline. I mean, I'm actually rereading it right now. I'm actually trying to get my way through the British version of the Marvel comics, which is essentially, as I understand it, the Marvel comics.
Ooh.
Plus they would. Like what we read in the U.S. Plus they had like little sort of interstitial stories that would tie some threads in between issues and things like that. But it's like 300 issues to Marvel's 80, and it's tough because it's especially tough because I want to just move on to the IDW stuff, which I haven't read anything of, and it's such a glowingly praised series, which I believe is actually ending this year. They're going to do a reboot as well.
On that, just to interrupt you for a hot sec, check around September. Basically, they're going to relaunch the IDW continuity. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not connected enough in that scene to really. In fact, actually, jumping ahead some, I haven't gotten any of the IDW books for a handful of months. It kind of lost me because it's kind of what IDW tried to do is kind of do like this Hasbro connected universe where it's it's Transformers, it's G.I. Joe, it's Mask, it's ROM, it's Visionaries and whoever. But anyway, so what's happened now is that all of these characters are in each other's books. So it's like if you want to see what Cup and RC are up to, you have to be reading G.I. Joe. And I'm just like, I am not here for this. But prior to that, the IDW books were really, really good, but kind of a weird fragmented continuity. So I think what would happen, Aaron, is if you kind of try to jump in from zero, by the time you get through, you're like, wait a second, what? Because they've changed writers a few times. It gets a little murky. So, if you're looking to dip your toe in the IDW stuff, I would just maybe wait until September. Or if you're really looking for something to scratch the itch, get a series called All Hail Megatron. Which is where
I have some of those books actually.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite series of the run, where basically it's the Autobots leave and Megatron and the Decepticons come over and take over the Earth. Kind of it's like Independence Day with Transformers. It's pretty rad. So.
I didn't know much about the UK series until very recently, and I want to plug another podcast that just came out that I just listened to. A guy named Noel Miller is coming out. He's come out with a podcast called Adventures in VHS. And episode 2, he talks about the Transformers phenomenon. He has an interview with Simon Furman, who is or was the UK writer. Really good interview with him explaining their take on doing the UK comic series and how they utilized some of the American stuff to, in their opinion, tie their stuff together.
Right.
So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that real quick. And he got an interview with Brian Volkweiss, which is the Toys That Made Us guy, and I'm like, how the hell did he do that?
Nice.
And that's the thing. It's kind of interesting anymore with this landscape of podcasting. Oftentimes, some of these marquee guests aren't as unreachable as you think. Right. Oftentimes, it's just like hitting them up on social media. It'd be just like, hey, like we were talking about Flint Dilley earlier. I'm sure, like at some point, I'm sure he would be down to talk about stuff and things because that's kind of what he's been doing for the last 30 years. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And one thing I wanted to mention on that before we moved on. One thing I wanted to mention just kind of as a postscript on the UK series. The reason why there's so much of it is that was a weekly comic. Whereas the Marvel one was a monthly comic. So what would happen is you would have an issue of the Marvel book that would come out in the UK, and then they would put in like 3 other issues, like you were saying, Aaron, to kind of fill the gaps a little bit. And it gets even more bonkers as it picks up kind of post-movie, because Simon Furman kind of takes like the post-movie continuity and runs with it. But but meanwhile, the US series kind of sticks to kind of traditional season 1, season 2 norms. So it gets really, really weird at some spots. But yeah, those UK comics are some of probably like the most delightfully batshit crazy Transformer stories you will ever read, because it's just I mean, because it has kind of like that feel of being foreign. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're really weird. I remember they reprinted some in the U.S., which one of the first Transformers comics actually I bought was, I think it's called The Iron Man or something like that.
Oh,
Revenge of the Iron Man, or
Man of Iron.
Man of Iron.
Man of Iron, yeah. Yeah, it was like
but
issue
it's weird,
32,
and like you read it, and it's in this third person like narrative, and then like the Autobots find a buried Ark with a Sentinel, like robot that's in it that has existed since like medieval Europe. It's very strange, and I read it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it's like a fever dream. It's
yeah,
so surreal.
Yeah. It was bonkers. So a handful of things, some other stuff I wanted to ask you about, but more than anything, something we haven't touched on yet, because, you know, again, we, you know, kind of get going and get talking, but talk about some of your guys' hobbies and some stuff that you do outside of the podcast, because you do some cool stuff.
Well, I think that luckily we have the benefit that all of us have some sort of art background. This is Aaron, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so we, as kids, we always did little artsy things together. We had this thing called jamming that we used to, and still kind of occasionally do every now and again, in which, you know, you draw a little something on a piece of paper and pass it on, and it ends up becoming this mural of craziness.
It always ends up being filthy.
A dick usually
eventually
does
in the
show
third
up.
round,
absolutely.
a dick just shows up.
It's like the game Exquisite Corpse, except we can see everything that's going on.
But to that end, I mean, Caleb, a degree in fine art, ultimately, right? A bachelor's degree.
You know,
fine art.
I'm fine with you just telling me about myself.
All right. Ryan, an amazing illustrator of his own right, inspired by the Jim Lees of the world, I would say.
Just a little bit.
Essentially, we all draw, we all dabble in design, and so we have this visual thing, which definitely helps us out on, you know, ideas for promos and website stuff and all
ideas
in general.
Ideas for them, whether they actually occur.
We're not always the best executors, but so art is definitely part of the world. Ryan, you've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, I am super into horror movies. If a podcast goes by where I don't mention a serial killer or a mass murderer or some other horror of the real world, I don't feel like I've done my job. I find that stuff completely fascinating. I mean, I haven't done them in a while, because this has actually been kind of my creative outlet, is doing the podcast. But I got into doing vlogs on YouTube and stuff, like going to New York and go to Seattle, actually, and stuff like that. I went and filmed in Jeff City, the total eclipse that happened last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, stuff like that, and writing. I mean, here's the problem: is I'm so good at so many things that I just usually end up jerking off.
See, Rimshot, it actually kind of works.
Better than other sound effects you could have used.
Ryan's he collects vintage cartridge video games.
That's true. I did just buy an Atari 2600 and like 20 games for it.
Yeah.
I'm really. It started with like Nintendo games and getting into Nintendo, and then I bought a Retron 5, so I can play games that are on that. And then I was like, this is a poor financial choice, but I'll buy an Atari. And then Aaron has accused me of just going more and more retro, and eventually I'll just get a Pong machine and like one of those Nickelodeon games where you shoot the little BBs.
And eventually this will be Cup and Ball.
Yeah, Cup and Ball. This Cup and Ball is crazy.
What do you do with your life, Caleb?
I do have a background in fine art. I play the piano. I'm in a couple of rock bands around town. and I got a degree in history and don't do much with that. But I'm busy with all kinds of stuff. I have a couple of kids, and so my time with these boys here is very precious to me.
Aw, Caleb, I guess I didn't go too personal other than I, too, am a relatively new stepfather and homeowner. And so I spend a lot of time, I guess this is still artistic, but trying to, like, interior decorate the house. So I guess interior design is sort of a
He's got a swanky house, Mike. Aaron's got it's a
70s mid-century piece, so there's a lot you can do with it.
That's cool. That is some championship adulting. Proud of you, man. Proud of you. So that makes me think of something. So, Aaron, you were talking about family a little bit. For all three of you guys, what's kind of been the response from your family, friends or, relations or whatever, kind of this weird podcasting adventure that you guys have been on?
My wife, she supports it. She doesn't listen to it, but she knows that it's time for me to go hang out with the boys, and she knows these guys really, really well. She introduced me to Aaron.
No, other way around.
I introduced you to her.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. It's all a blur.
I don't know.
There we go.
See, I need to tab away from the screen, otherwise I'm just gonna keep hitting stuff.
The last 5 minutes of the episode are just noises.
I don't remember what I was talking about.
You're talking about your kids and your wife. And
my kids and my wife.
Yeah.
So my wife supports it. She doesn't listen. My kids, I try to kind of steer them away from Autopod After Dark.
Why?
Because Uncle Ryan,
I'm not allowed to talk to your children.
They don't need to know about Uncle Ryan's shenanigans. But Ryan's great with the kids, but not with the Autopod After Dark.
Yeah, it's a little blue. The posit's a little blue. But we do have our one and only advertiser is your son.
Oh,
Caleb.
the Bro Cells. The Bro Cells. That's my kid's company that he apparently runs. I think it's some sort of shadow organization.
It does seem to be devious.
Yeah, it's like he's big into the Illuminati. So
gotcha.
Good.
Bro Cells, where we sell good.
That's great.
That's some deep state stuff going on over there. But the thing that cracks me up about the Bro Cell spots, and I find myself talking along with it. It cracks me up. But the thing is, like the goofy air horn at the end. Wham, wham, wham.
He loves the air horn.
Because it's not like an actual air horn. It's like a air horn sound effect, and it's like I've never heard that sound. I've always been familiar with the more traditional kind of goofy morning zoo radio station. Wham 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 wham. That.
I guess I think of it as DJ Khaled inspired.
Yes.
My 9-year-old's totally DJ Khaled inspired.
Another
that's
one.
Me.
I appreciate you. You smart. You loyal. I'm 9.
Save it. We might go into that a little bit whenever you recorded with us, Mike.
Oh man.
But the as far as my side, my wife. I think that in general, when you're dealing with family situations, you anything that kind of takes you away from the family for a significant portion of time can be a little bit, something you keep your eye on in a suspicious way. Sure. And my wife is like that, but she's also completely supportive. She just knows when it's recording time. I mean, it takes us. It might take us a couple hours to prepare for an episode, and then there's the recording, and then there's the fact that when we're done recording, we're usually stumbling out of the recording area a little bit inebriated.
To our cars.
In general, she's supportive. She's actually even been on an episode of the program. So I couldn't ask for much more, honestly.
That's amazing. We always marry up, has kind of been my experience. questions, because that's kind of where I'm at too. Is it's a lot of enthusiastic support. Yeah, she's like, yeah, you go do your thing. It's fine. Get the hell out of my house.
This is Ryan. I do actually have an alive girlfriend who doesn't seem to care whether I do this or not. She never So it's good, bad.
See, now,
although I do sometimes when I'm editing force her to listen to my particularly golden quips.
The listener has the benefit, if they've listened from the beginning of the show to now, they get all of Ryan's.
There's a real arc.
Romantic. He started off as single and divorcing to where he is now, which is, I guess, divorcing and not single.
See, right. Now this is where an air horn could go. Just wham, 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 wham.
Or like, ooh, Poppy. No? Okay. All right.
Sure.
Leaving all that in. God damn it. Oh my gosh. But before we move on and think about closing out here, at least, I do actually have some halfway serious, halfway insightful questions that, it's like I've been, so far as I've been, we've been having this conversation, I have like the same list of questions that I have like when I talk to bands and promoters and other stuff. So, but these, the questions I ask everybody that I have on the show is, it's kind of a dual armed type of thing. First, what has your biggest challenge been? And then the flip side of that is, what advice would you have for people that want to pursue their own creative endeavors?
It looked like Caleb had a.
No, I was looking at Aaron.
He's like,
okay, all right.
They're like, oh man, he's lulled us into a false sense of security for an hour, and now he's gonna hit us with some serious shit.
So I was gonna say our text chain might be our most challenging. Finding time to do it can be challenging for sure. I mean, we're in all approaching 40, if not already there,
right?
And so, with families and everything else extracurricular going on, finding time is good. But I think the main advice is just doing it, man. I mean, to your question earlier, did you think you'd make it this far? I agree with what Caleb said. I mean, I knew that if we just made a point to just commit, then you do it. And as you commit, you get better. You get your Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours in, and don't be afraid of failure, because everything is just experiences that ultimately build you as a person, build your whatever it is you're doing, and make it better. So just committing and following through. That's the main thing. I know that's pretty cliche, but
it's funny because I was going to say something similar that's also boring, which is like just consistency of like putting material out there when you say you're going to, or putting it out in a consistent basis. Like especially if you want to bring new people in, like knowing when something's going to drop, or knowing when, and interacting with your fan base as well is important, because it's easy to fall off and not care if you're peripherally interested in something and it just like randomly shows up. You're like, well, I'm not gonna put so much effort into finding that. And then also, especially if you're the editor of the show, don't offer to do a clip show.
That's God. Ryan, I don't know if we've mentioned this on the interview here, but Ryan does all of our editing. Like, he goes through it and makes us sound good, and he's probably dedicates more time to this than, well, definitely more than me. But I can't really speak to Aaron. But
I would say Aaron and I do about an equal amount.
Yeah.
You don't.
No, I don't. I don't. But I will say that we're proud, and due to these guys' diligence, that we've released. We've never been behind schedule.
That's true.
We've recorded and have released every Sunday for the past
year.
And for the past 55 episodes. And even if we've run out of anything in the can, we'll record that day, and Ryan will go and edit that night, and we'll get it out there. And that's admirable. And I can't take any credit for that, but it is good advice for people, as Aaron said, like, and Ryan, to commit to it, to get it done,
And it is if you have friends or like you have any interest in you find yourselves talking about something. If you wanted, you can do a podcast about anything. Literally, there's room for everything. And also, this is my favorite creative thing to do, and like it's something that will last forever until the EMP destroys the internet. Yeah. I haven't been transcribing these onto notebook paper, so that's the next project. So that we can podcast after civilization collapses.
Oh, there you go. I like that. But yeah, no, that's excellent advice. And just to tack on to that, I agree with you 100%. And that's the thing I always tell everybody is, channel your inner Shia LaBeouf and just do it. Make your dreams come true, and just, because like I've run into so many people, just keeping it within the realm of podcasting here of, it's like, oh, well, I want to have, like all my bits squared away. I need to figure out what my show clock is. I have to have all my segments figured out. I have to have, it's like, no, just start doing something. And, and to loop things all the way back around to the beginning, it's like, the way that your guys' show is now is not exactly the way it was when it started. So if you waited for the show to sound like it does now, you would never have started.
It never will, because like Aaron said, you just have to do it to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I know, Ryan, you talked about some of those first episodes being kind of rough, but it's always fun to kind of look back over your shoulder and, kind of see the progression, because if it was, 55 episodes of the exact same thing, well, that's, it's fine, but yeah, it's always fun to just kind of, go back and celebrate, just kind of that growth and development. So,
not that there's not magic in those episodes. There'd be no Lithonian space wizard.
That's true, and I would submit my best joke is episode 2, the finger bang joke.
Oh no!
God damn it. It took us over an hour, but I knew we were going to get to finger banging at some point, and that was something I was going to say. It's like, I one of the things I talked about is that, we're all kind of the same age, and I hadn't heard the term finger banging since like I was 17, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's right. That was totally a thing, and that's what we all said, and that's what we all called it.
It was a thing.
It was
it's debatable whether I have aged past 17. So
exactly. God damn. Oh man. So, last question. What has been your favorite moment on the show so far?
Oh gosh.
I will say that I have never laughed so hard in our recording van when our first discussion about Casey Kasem, we're talking about, I think that might have started inspiring our cliched response to about the death of a voice actor. But when Aaron said that Casey dropped off the charts, that is still to this day
it's good.
That's my favorite, funniest part of this whole thing.
I always have a good time. Well, I was going to say I always have a good time doing this, but there are parts in some episodes where I'm like, God damn it, this editing is going to suck. Or I'm like irritated because Caleb's looking at something else, and I'm like, pay attention to me. Or
I am drunker than I should, drunk than
I never do anything wrong. I'm never the problem. Right. And so, but I will say that just the whole recording of our Christmas episide was so much fun doing those bits and just having it was like a variety show of it was so fun, and it is fun to listen to. I listen to that probably so many times now that I can't listen to it for about a year.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I agree. I think each time we discover a reason to create a bit is always fun. I wish we had more time to do that kind of sort of sketch comedy or improv comedy type piece to the show. I wish we had a lot more of that, and it probably creeps in about once every 10 episodes or so. Sure. To your end, that the Christmas one was fun. We were really, and
she doesn't
honestly,
look like her picture.
It was a lot of fun, and it was, and believe it or not, very mild. Like, we knew we wanted to do something for Christmas. We knew we were recording Christmas for a Christmas episode, but we had no plans, no ideas, and I think I just like it popped in my head to just follow the trope, the Christmas Carol trope, and
it was like literally we thought about it in the room before we started recording.
Right, and then just said, okay, well, we're gonna kind of like, there'll be some points in time where we'll do a pointer, and that's our cue to
which is why when
bring in one of our classic characters.
When Starscream comes in, it terrified me because you just cackle out of the blue, and I was very afraid.
And I think so. Yeah, I agree that those parts. I think those are the parts that, to what you were saying earlier, kind of give us a point of difference from whatever a standard Transformers podcast is, but that brings some fun into it. Now, at least for me, it makes it fun. But the other people out there that might just be like, "Hey, these guys aren't funny. This is annoying," and whatever. But we've got to. It's good. We have to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, there are a few podcasts I don't listen to that aren't comedy based in some way, even if they are talking about something specific. I like that, and so I basically make a podcast that I'd want to listen to.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that you have to do it, because if you don't like it, then why are you doing it? It's it's
for all that sweet podcast money.
yeah, sweet podcast money.
Yes. So this is my favorite episode ever.
Mike, your sound effects have made Aaron a very happy.
He's very delighted.
That's, well, you know what? If you like some of this, just wait, because I have some more in Cup's cock department that I'm going to bring out a little later. So I think at this point, let's I don't know if it's a huge reveal or not, but we've done absolutely no teasing. It's just now occurred to me, but do we want to talk about what is coming up in the future? It looks like it's going to be about, 3 weeks from now. I don't have a calendar in front of me, and Aaron is
April 29th.
Okay, cool. So what's happening on April 29th? What do folks have to look forward to on the Autopod Decepticast?
Very presumptuous of you to say they'll look forward to it, but
fair enough.
It's a roast.
That's right.
This is the worst tease ever, by the way.
No, we're going to be honored to have you on the show, obviously. So we'll be joined by the delightful Mike Seibert of Mike Seibert Radio, and that's going to be a great episode because we're going to be talking about the scene where Ultra Magnus dies at the hands of Galvatron and the Sweeps.
Fucking spoilers!
And so there's a lot of stuff going on there, and you'll be there with bringing a level of professionalism and shine, a new perspective and insight to it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and I was the script. According to Ryan, who manages part of our script deviations, apparently it's going to be bonkers.
Oh, it's very insane.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. It's when Aaron first shared with me which episode I was going to be joining you guys on, my jaw just dropped, because like there are certain moments in the movie that are, every minute has an iconic moment, as we've learned, but there are some minutes that are obviously more significant than others, and I would say, aside from a couple of the minutes earlier in the movie, this is definitely one of the big ones, as we get towards like the last third of the movie.
Absolutely.
And
it's a top fiver for sure.
Oh yeah.
What's funny is as like iconic as it is, as much as it is definitely a top fiver, it really is of little consequence.
Yeah, it means very little in the vast scheme of things.
Definitely, and I think that's something that we're going to talk about in a few weeks when we all get back together on the 29th. So you heard it here first, folks. or unless I've already tweeted about it, I don't know. So on April 29th, I will be joining Aaron, Ryan, and Caleb and the Autopod Decepticast, and we are going to be talking about the death of Ultra Magnus and more. But for now, I guess, so before we jump in the time machine and travel into the forward future, the far-flung future of April 29th, let folks know where they can find the podcast, all of the episodes, and how folks can connect with you on the social medias and the internets.
Sure, yeah. So the primary portals for us are iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Also TuneIn. And we're on social media at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. To make it easy, they're all at Autopod Decepticast. And we really would love people to go to our web presence, just because, ultimately, I think one outcome of this would be to think of it as a repository of all things Transformers the movie, whether they be, a minute little detail or whatever. So there's the podcast, which is the main bulk of information, but all the minutia ends up getting on the website, as well as references to some of the things that we talked about in the show that may not have been directly related to the movie. So there's a lot of fun stuff that we put up on the website just to kind of, continue the fun.
What is that website?
Oh, some people call it autopoddecepticast.com.
There you go.
That's right.
There it is. There it is. and if I had a Bro Cells drop, I'd probably put that in there too.
Bro Cells, where we sell good.
Wham, wham, wham.
I'll send you the file.
All right. So before we jump into the time machine, one more time around the room, is there any particular shout outs or acknowledgments that you guys want to give out for anybody that we may not have mentioned that have supported you guys along the way?
We mentioned the Close Kuntosh that does a lot of stuff, that we're in contact with a lot of the time. I will just say for myself personally, hey, if you want to check out more of my things, you can go to YouTube, search Ryan Jett. I am not the MMA fighter. I'm the other guy. Definitely, I would just say, we'd love to, for just a selfish thing, have, join us on Twitter if you're interested. Check it out. I think we're great. That's about all I can think of, Caleb.
I just want to thank our supporters. I hesitate naming individuals because I know I'm going to leave individuals out, but you know who you are, and it's very much appreciated. And we didn't know what kind of following, or if we were going to have a following. We were
and certainly thank you all who have given us 5 stars and reviewed on iTunes. Awesome. It's great.
Very cool. Now, Caleb, while you were just here a second ago, do you want to talk about any of your bands or give any of those shout outs? Because I feel like, it's in my notes. I wanted to ask you about it, and I apologize for kind of giving you the bum's rush. But is there is there anything you want to talk about on that?
Well, since I have the opportunity, if you're in Springfield, Missouri, I can you can check out live a couple of groups that I'm in. The primarily the Brandon Moore group, and he has an album out called Down in the Dirt, and so you can find that on iTunes. You can find that, I think, probably on SoundCloud. I'm with another group called Vic Vaughn and Sold Out. That's SOULED, Sold Out. Those guys have Facebook presence. Yeah, those guys are. That's an interesting group. They're all in their late 60s, and so the topics of conversation when we're not jamming on stage is usually like
hip replacements
and stuff like that. But yeah, Brandon Moore group, Vic Vaughn and Sold Out, and. That's. Do
you have any Paul Simon gigs coming up?
I'm in a Paul Simon tribute band. I'm in an Elvis Costello tribute band.
He does not see his kids.
I don't see. I'm busy, but I will say that thanks for giving me the chance to plug them though. That's great. I appreciate it.
Can we take the time to thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit? This has been a lot of fun, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? It's definitely reciprocal because I appreciate you guys joining me on the show and hanging out.
You're welcome.
And I appreciate the invitation to join you on your show as well. I think this is going to be an exciting crossover. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting crossover experience. Hopefully, we've still got some gas left in the tank because this is a big one. So anything else before I play you guys out?
Tom, good. Aaron?
No, thank you. Thank you again, and thanks to everybody that gives a shit, honestly.
Absolutely.
We're happy that people do.
We love it that people like this, and it brings joy to their hearts.
Play us out, Mike.
Well, fantastic. So thanks again to Aaron, Ryan, and Caleb, the Autopod Decepticast. And as soon as this ends, I'm going to fire up the time machine, and we will see you on April 29th. My name is Mike, and until next time, make good choices.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
And again, don't miss episode 57 of the Autopod Decepticast, dropping on April 29th, where we'll be talking about the death of Ultra Magnus.
Fucking spoilers!
Plus, the tables get turned as Aaron, Ryan, and Caleb get their opportunity to interview me, and I'll talk a little more about why Transformers the movie means so much to me. Coming up next is a band brought together by the power of rock. They are the Cybertronic Spree, an over-the-top hair metal band that performs music from Transformers the movie. This is their first all-original song. It is Cybertronic Warrior, and you're listening to Mike Seibert Radio. Cybertronic Warrior, the first original single from the Cybertronic Spree, and the music video for that is pretty rad. If you haven't checked out the Cybertronic Spree, they've got a lot of videos on YouTube, and basically what they are is they are the robots in disguise. They are the heroes and some of the villains from Transformers the movie, and they take to the stage and rock out. It's pretty cool, especially if you're a fan of these characters and this movie and the music, which obviously I very much am. I actually had the opportunity last year on KGRG to interview members of the band, including Hot Rod, RC, and Rumble. That was a lot of fun and definitely one of my more how shall we say, unique interviews. I'll have a link in the show notes if you want to go back and check that out. It is a trip. And that will do it for this week's show. And whether this is your first time listening or your 150th, I'd like to thank you for listening. If you'd like to check out my past shows, including all of those old college radio shows, subscribe on SoundCloud, Google Play Music, the Stitcher Radio app, and on Apple Podcasts. Like, share, rate, and review the show wherever you find it. And if you do leave us a review, let me know. Send me a screenshot, tweet at me, something, and I will give you a shout out, and I will read your review on the air. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Seibert Radio, and write into that mailbag, MikeSeibertRadio@gmail.com. Next week on the show, David from Prize Fighters, a local band, local homies. He will be my guest, and we'll be talking about their brand new music video for their song Love Me Not. In fact, that's actually available right now if you want to go check it out. Plus, they have a show coming up on April 22nd. All of that and more next time on Mike Seibert Radio. My name is Mike, and until next time, make good choices. Coming up next on the road to 40, the Games Master. Flint Dilley was almost famous in the geek 80s and wrote a book about it.